right, so we're working on exercise 6. We've opened up this Word document that's been downloaded from our Ivy Learn exercise 6 table of contents area. So this is the table of contents formatted.doc. Now, oftentimes when a client gives you a Word document, they make it look really pretty, and sometimes that looking pretty doesn't come in very well into InDesign. It creates all sorts of problems for us. So here's our pretty good looking layout, or little layout for Word that somebody has given to us. Now, we have, last week when we were here, we did create a new InDesign document, but I'm going to do some review here. You guys also created a document. My guess is that document may already be on the desktop, but if you don't have that document started, you would go into InDesign and click on the print area when you go, after you go to File, New, or Command N, and we're doing a print document. And that print document, the size is 8 by 10 with at least, it looks like an 1/8 of an inch bleed and a 2-column grid. So I'm going to switch my thing to inches real quick. 8 inches by 10 inches, so it's not 8.5 by 11. It is facing pages in this case because it's a 2-page spread. It was 2 columns. I'm going to hit preview and see what I'm getting here. I think I did adjust the gutter space between the columns. I think I widened it quite a bit. We weren't really being all that accurate on this. It was just kind of like, whatever looks good. So in this case, as long as our copy's fitting really well, this is not a super critical thing. Margins, I don't know what we had those set at, but I'm going to just play around with mine a little bit more. So this is just, you guys can do whatever you want on these as long as it is comfortable. And we wanted a bleed of 0.125. So I'm looking at the preview, and that's what mine looks like so far. Now, we also talked about in this window here, we wanted 2 pages, and instead of starting on page 1, we could start on page like 18, because it does say in the Word document that this is pages 18 and 19 of this publication. So I'm creating the document, and here we have it. So this is just a little review. Our documents will not look exactly the same, but they'll look similar. If you don't have the red line around the outer edge here, 1/8 of an inch away, you'll need to get your bleed set. And if you can't remember how to do that, that's under File, Document Setup, and you can click on Bleed and Slug and set it that way. If you've forgotten your bleed, you can go back and do it again, or redo it. Now I'm going to call this my last name, first initial, EX6, and I'm going to put it in my folder that I've already created on my desktop for it. Okay. Now, guys, I am going to place this Word document, and you are going to see that it might be pretty crazy, okay? I'm just going to go File and Place. Oops, not File Search. File, Place. And I'm getting that table of contents, and I'm opening it, and I'm going to put it in here. It's missing a bunch of fonts. Holy cow. This is not really what I wanted it to do. If I just click on one of these areas, oh my gosh, what is this stuff? You know, you can hold down Shift and click an auto flow. But what's happening here is is going to be really difficult for most of us to perhaps manage. So when our clients give us really pretty, beautiful setup Word documents, they oftentimes create a lot of havoc for us in InDesign. If you've never dealt with a thing called a table before, this is a table, and you know, you might think, oh, with that table I'm going to move it with the black arrow tool. Nope, that doesn't work. You have to use the type tool, which doesn't seem very, doesn't seem normal. And then as soon as you try to adjust the table, you start missing typography. It gets rid of stuff. So these tables are, for many people, the bane of their existence. Because when you place anything that's tabled into InDesign, it is like a living hell for you. So
it's better to make your own tables in InDesign. I know that from experience.
Yeah, it can be better to do the tables in InDesign for yourself. Now, sometimes I don't even use tables because I know, in fact, I could show you the original document. I know that I want to have, we're going to set what are called tabs. And this, there's going to be a tab between the page number, the name of the article, or the place that you can visit. Then there's going to be leaders, little dots, that lead to whatever type of trip it is, whether it's a value trip, a classic trip, or an insider trip. So there's going to be these little dots. Well, it's going to be really difficult for me to get these dots to work with what are called leader characters to work in a table. So this is actually going to be tabbed typography, not tabled typography. Mila's going, oh my goodness, this is new territory, or maybe it's old territory for her.
Well, I've done tabs.
You've done tabs before. Have you done tables before? Kind of. Okay, well, we're going to get out of the table business today, and we're going to go into the tab business, okay? Because the table business is going to give you all sorts of problems. Like, you will not be able to function. You will feel so locked up and locked out of being able to do anything. Okay, so I just wanted to show you, just going to file in place, this is not going to work really well for us in this scenario. Thank you, client, however, for giving us a beautifully laid out Word document. This happens to us all the time with clients. Okay, so I wanted to show you the trouble we were going to get into by just going to file in place. We got into a lot, that was a sticky wicket. A lot of trouble. So guess what we need to do? We need to go into our Word document and prepare it for use in our InDesign file, okay? I would typically keep the original Word file. The reason why is oftentimes there's secrets and little things and tips in there that you need, such as they want this color coded. They definitely want the initial, what we call the transition page of that section. They want those transition pages to be colored so that you can visually separate them. They want the different kinds of value, whether it's classic trip, value trip, or insider trip, the different kinds of trips. They want those color coded with whatever section that travel area is colored. So like Spain and France is blue, so all that stuff is blue. Regular old plain Spain is yellow, or kind of an orangish yellow, and so they want that corresponding. So there are some things in here that the client obviously wants. Maybe we talked to the client, that's what they told us too, where they want stuff color-coded. So if I strip out all the formatting on this thing and I save over the original, I won't have access to those colors anymore, okay? So first thing I do before I do anything in a client file.
File, save as.
Exactly. I go File, Save As. And instead of calling it Table of Comments or Contents Formatted, I'm going to call it Table of Contents Unformatted. Or not formatted, however you want to call it. I always typically leave my client Word documents untouched. Also, what that helps me with is it helps me with when a client says, hey, that wasn't there, you made this mistake, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I have your original Word file. You had that in there, and I assume that's what you want. So no, I'm sorry, that is not my mistake. That is usually not a problem until you get to the printing. All right, so now we renamed it Table of Contents Unformatted or Non-Formatted. Now we're going to select everything and strip it down to just real basic stuff. So I just hit Command A, And we've done this before where we go to the styles pane. The styles pane is found way out to the upper right. It's got a little backwards P up here. Get that drop down, and you simply click for clear formatting. Make sure all the text is selected before you do that. So select all the text, then click on the styles pane, which is the backwards P way over here, little styles pane, and click clear formatting. Now, will this kill the table data? I don't know. I don't think it looks like it does. You know, I've slept, well, I haven't slept much, but I've slept since the last time we did this, and there is a way to clear out tables, and I may have to look it back up. Now, what's a table? Well, a table is grids that you can park individual items in. These are all in tables. We saw it when we placed it in design. If you put your cursor into, say, one of these areas that look like they're tabbed over, you can click then on the word table design, and there are all sorts of different tools here. And sometimes if I'm not sure if something's a table, I will highlight a bunch of text, all that text, and that's in tables, all the way down. Oops, make sure you're not outside of the tables. You have to do this in a couple sections. And where it says borders over here, I'll go ahead and make all my borders, all of them, I'll go ahead and make them like black or something. And you can see, oops, I forgot these. I just want to get an idea of what this is. So I'm like, okay, give me all my borders, all borders, and make it black. As long as you have, let's step back just a little bit. I'm gonna go backward just one more. There we go. Clear the formatting. Okay, first thing, don't select all the text, otherwise you won't get your table design tab. So here's your table design tab right now. Like I have it in a table. Okay, so table design tab is showing up. But if I were to go select all, you'll see no table design tab is up here. It's gone. So this is one of those deals where I actually have to click at the beginning of the next generation travel, the red one. I'm going to drag all the way down to the last item, which is page 142, index of all 13 Asia and beyond tours. And make sure you also grab all the columns. So the rows are the ones that go from top to bottom. Columns go from left to right. So you select all of that, but don't hit Command A because it will. There's stuff that is not in a table and it'll be confusing. Now, when you click on table design, if you don't see table design, you'll have to try to select it again. So that's from the text in the red bar, next generation travel, this area, all the way down to the page 142, index of all 13 Asia beyond tours. Make sure when you're dragging, you drag that mouse as far out to the right as possible so you can get your other table data. So your selection should look something like this. It's blue all the way to the end of the bar and a little bit beyond, and all the way down to the last page. Now, if you click on table design, you'll see all these table design tools. Here is where borders is. I'm trying to make my mouse bigger here. Right here, it says borders. Usually says bottom border is the default. So instead of choosing bottom border, in the flyout menu, choose all borders. And you can go, oh, there's the table. There's that little wicked thing. Aha. If you've never used tables before, this stuff can really, really totally mess with your life. I mean, you can look, I mean, I've seen people pulling out hair because they didn't realize they were working in tables. So that's one of the things I'll do just to see if it's a table is I'll select all the text, and if table design comes up, you know it's a table. Now, I don't have to do this very often, and I just did it 2 weeks ago, but I slept since then. I want to strip all this text out of a table, and there is no easy way to do this. Guess what I had to do to find how to do this? I Googled it. And since I've slept and I haven't had to do this over the last 2 weeks, I have forgotten this process to do that. So I'm going to Google how to release text from a table in Word. And it will give me, hopefully, oh my, convert text to a table. No, I don't want to convert text to a table. I want to convert the table to text. How to remove table in MS Word while retaining text. Oh my goodness. So this is like how to convert a table to text. Okay, I'm going to go here. Maybe this works. I've done this once. Now it says from the Tables Tool Layout tab in the Data group, select Convert to Text. Oh, okay. Let's see if that exists. From the Table Tools Layout tab. This is the Table Tools Layout tab.
Yeah, looks like they're using the previous version.
Oh gosh, darn it. Don't you hate that?
Yeah.
Aha, here it is. I just found it. There is an easy button. I just looked. That text is already selected. I went to the main menu up top. I click on Table, and where it says Convert, see, I went the long way a couple weeks ago. This is the short way. I can convert table to text. Don't convert your text to table. The text is already in a table. Convert table to text. Now, it's saying separate with paragraph marks, tabs, commas, what? Oh my goodness. I don't know. I'm just going to hit OK and just see what happens. Oops, tabs. Okay, I'll do that again. I'll hit Command Z. Table, convert table to text. Tabs is what I want. Good, okay. Oh, it is. That's correct. Yep. Now it looks totally stripped down. It doesn't look pretty anymore. This is why we didn't save over the original one.
Should we worry about color now? Since you've got rid of this coloring?
We'll do coloring in design. Okay. Do I need to walk us through that one more time? Okay. Let me hit Command Z to the point where it goes back. All right. First step, of course, was to only click in the little first initial red box where it says 21 and drag down to the last part of the table, which would be page 142, index of all 13 Asian beyond tourists, and make sure you drag to the right. Then click on Table Design. Well, actually, you don't even have to click Table Design for this. Go to Table, the main menu. Then go to Convert and use Convert Table to Text. And we are going to separate them using the tabs, so just leave tabs selected. Now, while this is still selected, guys, we're going to take out the extra spacing and stuff that's in here. And many of you, how many of you guys are really, really good at Microsoft Word and you're like an expert? Maybe one or two of you, semi-expert. So to remove the extra spaces between the paragraphs, you'll see my cursor is floating over two arrows with a bunch of lines. It's the line and paragraph spacing area. Okay, I'm right here. Ugh, it's so hard to make that mouse big. I need to go get my pointer. So line and spacing area. It has a little flyout menu. You aren't going to use any of those predetermined numbers, okay? You're not going to use any of those. You're going to go to line spacing options and you're going to set it at 0 because there's no 0 here. So I'm going to go down to line spacing options. And where it has spacing right here, it's about a little over halfway down. Put 0 before and 0 after. And then hit OK. Yay! Now, if I'm wondering about this extra space between each of these sections. If I click on the backwards P, the paragraph show hide invisibles, you'll see that, oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff down there. I don't need all this stuff, so I have to go and clean this up. Guys, I don't know if you recall a couple weeks ago, but when I get Word documents from clients, it usually takes me, on average, about 8 minutes per page to clean them up and get them ready for InDesign. Now, what we're going to do with these extra hidden material here, what does this even mean? 2 arrows and a backwards P. What does that mean?
2 tabs and a paragraph.
2 tabs and a paragraph. Do we need 2 tabs and a paragraph in an empty space? No. Let's delete it. Okay. So go in there and delete any of that extra business it's going to give you a lot of problems later. So we're going to get rid of it. 3 clicks, I believe, is what works in here. And then hit delete. Now, what should we do with this picture and the words use this image in the center of the 2-page layout? Do we want this just popping up in our text in InDesign? No. Click on the image, delete it. Click on all of that stuff that's, use image in the center of 2-page spread. Okay. You might even say this is the center of a 2-page spread, but I already know that because that's why I keep the Word document from the client. So I'm getting rid of all this extra spacing. Now, do I need to show this again? Be happy to. Okay, so I'm going to hit Command-Z a few times. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to this point where we selected the table. Went to Table, Convert. Oops. If you have anything extra selected, look what happens when I hit Convert. It's grayed out where it says Convert Table to Text. Oh, I've got that selected right there. It's giving me a problem. So when you're selecting text, it does matter how far you click and drag it and what you have selected. So make sure you are only selecting the table material. If you select anything outside of the table, it won't give you the option to do what we need to have be done. Okay, now so that's table, convert table to text. Use the tabs one. Hit OK. It's got a lot of spacing. So we go to the spacing, line spacing option button, and we choose, out of the drop-down menu, we choose line spacing options. This is review. And we want to put 0 before and after, and hit OK. Make sure your backwards P is selected, which is the Show Hide button, so you can see why there is additional spacing between these sections. We have a tab, another tab, and a return. Triple click on that, hit delete. Go to the next one, triple click, hit delete. These will give you a lot of problems when you go into InDesign. The client did a grand job of providing us a beautiful Word document. It's just not very usable yet. When you get to the picture, delete all the spacing before it, delete the words use this image in the center of the 2-page layout. That is not going to be included in the text in our layout. So I get rid of that and I get rid of the extra spacing. I just hit the delete key to do that after I select it. Phew. And at the bottom, if there's an extra image or use this, where it says use this image in the center of 2-page layout, just get rid of all that stuff. Don't need it. fun cleaning up your Word documents? That's why I charge for it. Guys, if you know that your clients are giving you Word documents, ask them how many pages of Word documents are you going to supply to me. I can, before I give them a job estimate, or I can even, based off experience, if they say, oh, this is going to be a 120-page document, as far as the end result, I might get in a 120-page document, if they want 50% images in there, that's at least a 60-page Word document. I can estimate at 8 minutes per page because how do I pick out 8 minutes per page? Out of the blue? No, I've done this a few thousand times, so I know exactly the average time it takes per page to clean up a Word document with my level of experience and knowledge in Word. So for me, it's 8 minutes per page. For you guys, it's probably at least 16 minutes a page because you're inexperienced. Usually double or triple it. Now, I'm going to charge a higher rate than you, though, right? You're going to charge a lower rate than I am because you're inexperienced. It takes you longer to do the same job. Now, at 8 minutes per page, if I have a 60-page document, what does that equal out to? 60 pages times 8 minutes per page is 480 minutes divided by 60 is 8 hours. Do you want to not get paid for an 8-hour day? You want paid. Understand your art. This is your art. If you don't understand it, you end up giving away your life for free or not billing them for stuff that you didn't know you need to bill them for. So this goes into my estimate. And it's an estimate. An estimate you can fluctuate or change. Can you fluctuate or change a quote? No. A quote is binding. An estimate is, well, you can't do an amendment to a quote, but you'd rather do estimating than quotes. Yeah. Yeah, if you've had the business of what is it called? Business of visual arts class, it tells you exactly that. Do not quote your jobs. Do estimates. Estimates you can flex, because what if it took you a lot more time because they had more changes than what was in the estimate? If you allow them only 3 or 4 times to change something and they do it 10, then that estimate, it gets increased now. You bill them for more because they changed 10 times instead of the 4 that you guys agreed to, or 3. Okay? So just keep this. These are little feathers in your hat, you guys, that are worth tons of money because it takes a ton of time. All right. So you could have just blown an 8-hour paycheck. A whole day you just gave away. Ain't like that, is it? Okay. So it may seem like minutia, but when you're talking a 60-page Word document and you have to clean it all out, oh, it's not minutia. 8 minutes a page, that's an 8-hour day. All right, what do we do with this website? Should it be underlined and blue in InDesign? No, this is a hyperlink. What do we do with these hyperlinks in Word? We've done this before in class, I do know that. Get rid of the hyperlink. How do we do that, though?
Right click on it.
First highlight it, right? Right click, go to hyperlink, and tell it to remove the hyperlink. Okay? Because it will come in underlined and purple or blue or whatever color it decided to do. And to do that in InDesign. Guys, in print graphics, you do not see underlined hyperlinks. No, no, no. There we go. Gone.
Are we leaving that little parentheses of sidebar text?
You can get rid of that if you want to, because we have that Word document that we can rely on that the client provided to us. If you'd like to get rid of that, you may. Certainly. Okay, now I have to say the client was good in setting up the table to an extent because I have tabs already there. You see the little blue guys here? The tab is there. When I converted that table to text, it put a tab there. I want that. And it only put one tab between wherever it is we're visiting, London, Paris, and Madrid. It only put one tab between the place we're visiting and the type of trip it is. Yes. If I saw 2 arrows in there, I would have to strip out All but one. Does it matter if these are lined up in Word? It really does not matter. But they happen to line up because they were in a table to start out with. So it looks kind of pretty. But if we didn't have a table, none of them would line up, even if they just had one tab. Does anybody know what the default tab positions are in Word? How wide are they, or where are they placed? Does anybody know that? Every half inch. Same thing in InDesign, it's every half inch. We have to override those defaults. We won't worry about overriding the default here because we like to have a tab. I see something. I see a couple things. When the table was converted to text, we have an extra tab at the end of each section, and there's nothing over there. If there is nothing over here, same thing here. Here, there's no extended, Explorer Value Trip or Classic Trip. These extra backwards, or these extra tabs, there's always going to be a backwards P there because we need to get it separated between one paragraph and another. But these extra little arrows right here, there's nothing there that we're going to tab out to. So we need to get rid of that. You're like, 8 minutes a page? More like, geez, lady, 30 minutes a page. Now, if it has Explorer Value Trip or Classic Trip or Insider Trip, leave that tab there. But if there's nothing after the text, but an arrow and then a backwards P, get rid of the arrow. Oops, I screwed that one up. That was a value trip. Now, this does not make for fun days, I have to say. When I'm cleaning up text, getting ready to place it into InDesign, not fun days. Paid days, because I know what I'm doing, but not fun.
But I had to speed up my Word documents, my Word documents and my books for the digital editions.
Right, so they would print properly and space properly and not be all crazy inside.
Yeah, because the conversion software that they use doesn't properly register tab indents. So I had to go through my whole document because they designed their conversion software in a way that does not account for the way people actually type, and get rid of all of my tab indents and reformat the thing with baked-in indents. That took me like 16 hours per book.
I know, it takes forever. If you were doing that for a client, now you know it's 16 hours per book, and you would bill them 16 hours. You would quote them, or not quote, estimate them 16 hours because you knew how many pages your book was. That knowledge you have is actually pretty valuable because you've gone through that before. All right, I'm looking here, and it doesn't look like there's much else that needs to be stripped out that would be problematic. So you better save your document.
You have a space after.
Oh, right there. Yep. I was deleting any extra spaces too. She saw me do that, so there's an extra space here or there. If you see any extra little spaces, get rid of those. Okay. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to get out of it. Don't copy and paste from Microsoft Word. You guys know better. Now, sometimes I do have this open, the formatted one. I'll have the formatted one open, so that way when I'm working in InDesign, I can kind of go, okay, that's where the separation is, that's what color they want, that kind of thing, okay? So I may have to reference this occasionally, so I'm going to keep that open, but maybe park it down at the dock so I can open it and close it quickly. Now I'm ready to get busy in InDesign. You guys ready to get busy in InDesign? Mm-hmm. This is where it gets more fun. Stripping out all the funny business in Word is not all that fun, but it's what makes this fun. All right, I'm going to go to File and Place. Let's see if this has funny business or not. Make sure you choose the one that you named Unformatted. Table of Contents Unformatted. Click open. It's going to say a font's missing. That's okay. I don't care. I'm gonna get my own fonts. Oops, I should have held down the shift key, right? And clicked. When you hold down the shift key and click, it automatically does it for you. Now, the bad thing about this is, one, the font's not loaded, everything's pink. So I'm going to put this into a font that is at least something that's not got pink behind it. You can choose whatever typeface that you want, okay, as long as it's not a display font. Okay, so you can use whatever you want. And because I don't have my fonts loaded here anymore, I need to go get some fonts, that is for sure. Because this is not going to cut the mustard here. I got nothing good here. I'll just do that one. Now, I'm not expecting us all to have the same fonts, okay? That's not what this is about. You use whatever fonts you want to, as long as they're not display fonts. Okay, now, you will notice that the kind of trip, whether it's a classic trip or an Explorer value trip or whatever, anything that was tabbed, here we go, the first one is on page 34. Anything that was tabbed over here, it's moved down the next line. The reason why that is because in InDesign, my columns are too narrow for the tab stops that were used in Word. Okay, Word's tab is much farther out to the right. Well, the column is only so wide, so if the tab for this is set past this line, it will automatically move it down here, okay? So the tab is set for somewhere out here. It doesn't understand somewhere out there. The columns are only so wide, so it just pushes it down. A lot of people don't realize that's how tabs respond. If there's not enough room in the column and the tab stop is too far out, it will move it down to the next line. Understanding that helps us when we're working with it. Now, because all the tabs are pretty much set the same, it looks like, let's go ahead and select all the text. Oops, I just hit something. Let me hit Command Z. Oh, we were okay. Select all the text, and let's talk about tabs for just a second. Go to Type and Tabs. It's about 6 items down from the top. So Type, Tabs. We use these a ton. And it takes a while for people to wrap their heads around them sometimes. Some folks are just naturally, oh yeah, this is how this works. But a lot of folks really have some struggle with tabs. I'm not sure how to explain it. I'll try to explain it the best I can. And the cool thing is InDesign has this little visual feature that helps. So here we go. There's the tabs. Oh, remember how I said that the tab stop, this is a tab stop, not this ending sort of side triangle, but this little arrow right here is a tab stop. That arrow is set outside of the column. That's why anything that was tabbed is going to the next line. So there's already a little tab stop there. Now, if you want to get rid of that tab stop, which I would suggest that you do, just drag him down and out of that little black area. He's gone. Okay, just get rid of it. Just drag him out of there. Now you'll notice that reflow happened. Explorer value is now here. Classic trip is, they're all kind of lining up, but they're all lining up on a generic half-inch tab position. We don't want that. We want to have, let's say, we want these to be tabbed and aligned so that they're right here on that purple line or pink line. Now, since that is, they're aligning on, I want them to align on the right side. They're going to be pushed out and aligned on the right. That will be called a right align tab. Now, I wish these were bigger, and I can't zoom in and make them bigger, but these are your tab types. We got a left align, which is an arrow that kind of pushes over to the left. This is center. This is right align, and this is align on a decimal point. If you're doing pricing, like if you're doing menu design, and you need to have the prices align on decimals, we use the decimal point one. But in this case, we want this text right here, the Explorer value, the classic trip. We want these items, and this one, and all of them. We want them to align out to the far right. Now, I'm going to select all the text. I'm going to make sure you ripped off the tab that was already there. Oh, there's another one here. Oh, this one's okay for now. See that little guy? He's there. He's tabbing from the page number over to the place that we would travel. But we want to grab, and make sure he's not clicked on, so I'm going to click out here. Oops, it's selected. Darn it. I hate when it does that. I am going to go out and bring a tab out, but it's going to be all messed up. It's like, oh no, that's all messed up. That's because by default it chose a left tab. Okay, so right here, it's got the little left tab in there. It's blue, it's selected. By clicking on the right tab option, see I'm going to click, this is blue, this little tab here. I say, oh no, make that a right tab. Ah, better. Now I'm going to click on that guy. And you have to be very careful. You have to stay in this lighter gray area. By clicking on that little tab, you can see that there's a line right underneath it. And that line is where it will line up. And I'm taking it all the way to the pink. What was that?
How did you get a second one?
Okay, let's go through that. Okay, to get a second tab, you just simply click in the lighter, very, very lighter, oh, it's not super light, the light gray bar just above the ruler. That's where we put our tab positions. Make sure it's a right tab. So if you click down on it and it's a left tab, then you click on the right tab, or right justified tab. And then you make sure you move that over all the way to the pink line. Oops. When I just moved mine and it disappeared. Oh. Try it again. So if you just go just underneath that gray and into the ruler, it deletes it. It's gone. It disappears. So this is it's precision clicking and dragging. It's definitely a precision thing. And I wish I could zoom into this tab area, but the actual tab tool, but it doesn't seem to want to make this area any bigger, this little guy, the tab ruler. Now, so hopefully you guys got all of those different types of trips for their tab to align, so they align up on the right, and it needs to go right to that pink line. Now guys, don't move these little white triangles. This is a left indent and a first line indent. That's what that is. And this triangle over here is a right indent. So those are your indents. A lot of people don't know when they move them, they don't realize, oh, that's what that is. Let's also talk about this tabs window here. Let's say I moved it off to the side. I was like, hey, get this out of the way. I can't see. Well, if I do, it's no longer lined up to what I'm working on. There is a little magnet that when I click on it, it will position this tab ruler exactly over the column. So it's not as confusing for folks. So when you're a new tab user and if your tabs ruler is off a little bit, it really can be confusing. So if you just, again, click on the little magnet, it will get it so that it snaps right to, this is the beginning of this column, and there's the end of that column.
I click it and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, sometimes you click it and it doesn't do anything. Hit Command 0 to zoom out and see if it, so Command 0, and maybe Command minus one time. Then click on it and see if it does it. Yeah, sometimes when you're zoomed way in, it won't work. I've found that to be a little aggravating myself, but I have to zoom out to get that to snap in there. Yeah. Your indent is on 18. I'm sorry. Your first line indent? You talking about this this little guy here, or this guy here?
Mine's on 18 too.
Well, if you guys have a right indent, click on. You have all your text selected. Click on the backwards P for paragraph formatting here on the control panel, and make your left indent 0 and make your right indent 0. So make sure everything's 0, and make sure the space after is also 0. And there's all sorts of words still Microsoft Word is still bringing in all sorts of funky formatting, even though we stripped it out. Okay. So when you still have some funky formatting, like it's indenting to the right or indenting to the left, have all the text selected, click on your paragraph formatting icon, control panel, which is your backwards P. Up here's your control panel. Click on the backwards P and make a left indent 0, make your right indent 0, and if it has a space after, put it 0. You want all of this stuff here. Gosh, I really need my pointer. You really want all of this stuff in this backwards P. You want all of this to be all at 0. If you have numbers in there, strip them out. Because Microsoft Word it strikes again.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Your pike is possibly 9 inches. Now, we won't have the same numbers, perhaps, because you might be in pikas, I might be in inches. When we set up our documents, they might be slightly different. So your document, now the document size needs to be 8 by 10, but your column widths might be different than mine. So your fonts are going to be different than mine. So there'll be some differences. Tables?
No, sorry.
Like, oh my gosh, I gotta go way back. Okay. Tabs are a little crazy here. Let me hit Command Z a few times and we'll go back to what it was before. I'm gonna go way back. Okay. So this is review. All right, so I brought my text in. I made it a different font. That's all I did. Now, to help you out, I didn't mention this before because I didn't realize it brought in all sorts of paragraph formatting. Before I go to tabs, I am going to select all the text. Click on the backwards P for paragraph controls. I don't know why my character controls are not. There we go. And make all of these 0. Any fields in here should all be 0. That will help you out some because it might have a right indent or a left indent or something. It also has a space after on mine. Maybe yours as well. Okay, I'm still in the middle of answering his question. Now, as that text is all selected, I'm going to go to Type and Tabs. Now, it did not align this time, meaning this Tabs ruler, this 0 point should be right here at the edge of that column. So if I click on the magnet, it may move up there, but it might not. Well, it doesn't have room, so it's not doing it. So if I hit Command minus one time, then hit the magnet, it will align. Oops, excuse me. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. There we go. And you want to have the text selected before you click on the little magnet. Now, by default, or the Microsoft Word document had a tab right out here. It's got one here too. This one I might move over just a little bit. But this one needs to go away. So I'll delete that by just clicking on it and dragging it off of the tab above the tab ruler. So it's gone. I'm going to move this one over just a little bit. And I'm going to add a right tab for this text here that needs to go along this edge. So I am going to click in the gray area right here, not the black area, but the gray area. It's really sensitive in there. Click in there one time towards the end, but not at the end. Now it'll mess your stuff up. It'll flow this tab stuff to the next line. While this tab is selected, that's a left tab. It's a left arrow. You want to choose the right arrow. That's a right tab. Then you'll move that tab over to the far right of that column. So he's moved. I clicked and drug him and moved him over. If you have multiple little arrows in there, you've clicked way too many times in there. You got a lot of tab stops. You only need two. The original one from over here, and then one for this stuff that goes over to the right. Danielle, what was your question? Dominique, I'm sorry, that's Danielle.
I was just asking about saving. Just did the last name, first name.
Oh yeah, I already did that. Yeah. You should save your files as your last name, first initial, EX6. Yeah, I did that in the beginning just because it's a lot of work. So I try to save it often. Tabs are a real good time, aren't they, folks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, tabs are a good time, especially when you can't get them to work right. Okay, save often. Dominic asked me how should we save this, and you want to do it like we do everything else. Last name, first initial, EX, and then this is exercise 6, so EX6. Are we done with tabs for now? I'm going to close it. Not my document, but just the tabs thing. And save it. Yes, Zoe.
I'm having a weird hiccup. The plastic trip, where value trip cards are running off into the other line.
Okay, that needs to be a right tab instead of left tab. So click on that little guy and make it a right tab. Whoops, he's gone to totally. It's because it's size. You need to just make the point size a little smaller. And maybe, like I'm using more narrow font.
Okay.
Yeah, take off your zero right there. There you go. Oh, and then just move it towards the edge. Sorry. So tabs are, the more you're around them, the better you get at them, I can tell you that. We've only just set one tab today. And it was a struggle for a lot of us because I told you guys it was sometimes a struggle. It's not something that is real intuitive feeling, and it takes some getting used to. So I will probably have us do more tabs on another exercise so that we can get a little bit more accustomed to them. Okay, so let's save that. Woo. All right. Now, I will let you guys know that the things that are not on the table of contents, let's zoom in here, delete the ACIS, American Council for International Studies. That's just the name of the client, so we're going to get rid of that. The Exceptional Education Journeys 2020 to 2021 catalog, well, that's the name of the project, plus pages 18, 19. We can get rid of that. And the only, the table of contents, that word is actually on, those words are on the page, But I am going to put it in its own text box. So I'm going to cut that or copy and paste it somewhere else. Okay, so that will be in its own text box. So I'm going to drag and drop that in its own text box. Oops. I'm going to style it pretty nice later on. I'm just going to make it big for now. Okay, so this can be any font you want. It can be super jazzy. It can be a nice display font. Keep in mind, the audience are folks like you and me. We're the folks who take these trips. These are college travel abroad type trips. So that's the audience. Okay, now, you know what I would recommend saving? And then I would recommend, it does say in the Word document, I'm going to go back to this, use this image in the center of the 2-page layout. It says to do that, doesn't it? Now, I haven't gone in and done anything to the image yet. I need to. But before I do, I am going to take this column of text right here. I am going to just click on it and move it with the selection tool over to the far right column. If the image is supposed to go dead center in here, then so be it. That's going to be reserved. This space right here is going to be reserved for that image. Now, if there are any extra text boxes in there, make sure you get rid of them. Like I click and drag, oh, there's a text box. I don't want that text box. And if there's an extra one over here, I don't want it. So I don't see any other text boxes, so we're good. I did have one I had to delete. Now, let's assume that I haven't had the time to get to the image yet, but I'm going to place it anyway. I just need to get back to it and correct it. So I'm going to go to File and Place, and I'm going to go grab that JPEG. It shouldn't be a JPEG. And I'm going to place it here in the center. Now, it is the wrong size, so I'm going to change the size of it. I may have to crop it even. Oh, I don't want to crop this image. But I may have to, because this is supposed to be in the center. Oh gosh, I really wanted 2 bikes, but I may have to just have one.
It's gonna be a lot smaller when you. It's like 3.5 inches. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's supposed to be like this big. Oh, those silly clients, they gave me really bad files. Imagine that. They do it all the time. So here's what I'm going to say. Find an appropriate image. This is just what the client has given me as an option. Okay? If I click on this, InDesign will tell. It'll tell. I just go to Window, I go to Links, and InDesign will tell on me. It will say, oh, you're in RGB mode. Your effective pixels per inch, well, your actual is 72. And you must have shrunk it down a little bit because the effective pixels is 99. This is not a good image. Oh, you will learn this from your clients all the time. Yeah, I gave you the images. Yes, I know you gave me the images, but they're really low res and they're not going to be good for print. Well, they look good on my monitor. It's a good resolution. It looks good on my monitor. I hear students say it all the time. It's a good resolution. It looks good on my monitor. No, this is for print graphics. It has to be higher. If I print this, it's going to be pixelated, right? You guys know better now. But a client doesn't know better. Well, it looks good on my monitor. What would you tell a client who says that to you? I gave you the images. They're good resolution. It works on my monitor. It looks good there. What do you tell a client that says that?
So you have to explain to them that the printer is going to print those fewer pixels bigger and make the image.
What are pixels?
The little blobs of color that make up the image.
Oh.
It's going to make them bigger, and it's going to make everything blurry and icky.
Okay, I understand blurry and icky. As a client, I understand blurry and icky. I don't know what pixels are. I don't know about resolution. So we have to explain to the client that, on the web, images can be a lot smaller and look good. And when they go into the print world, they look really blurry and icky. We have to have really, really high quality, fairly large images that are a real good quality. And the images you supply to me are not. In fact, sometimes I will print them out and give it to them and say, this is what it looks like. I know this is not what you want. So it's my job to then find an image, hire a photographer, do whatever I need to do. Now these guys, I don't know if I'll be able to hire a photographer. But I may have to go and get some stock imagery that is a good enough resolution. Okay? You can choose any image that you want as long as it fits within that space and you can get it the right resolution. Now it can't start out really small and get blown up, and you can't fool me when I look at something and it's printed and it looks all pixely and blurry. You can't fool me and tell me that's a properly handled image. Okay? You do not have to use the image of the bicycles. Does that make sense? Because Phil's already opened it and somebody else has too and says it's only like, I think Grant says, it's only like 3 inches wide.
Well, I did the thing where I could preserve the size of it, and so that then I will be able to actually shrink it down to kind of fit.
You might be able to. If you are a Photoshop wizard, you might be able to do all sorts of things. As long as when it prints, it looks fabulous, that's all that matters. And it's also got to be the right color mode and file format and all that stuff. So I just put this in here. Right now I'm going to call it a 4-position only graphic. Watch this, folks, so you don't accidentally screw up something really bad because you'll forget. I'm going to have a box. Let me zoom in just a bit. Here's what I do when I'm not finished with this. I will draw a text box somewhere. Excuse me. Let me get out of this text box. I'm going to draw, maybe it's out in my pasteboard here. There, now we can see it. FPO. I'm going to make this big old FPO. FPO. What does that mean?
For preview only?
I even typically rotate it. Let me make it a really bulky font because I don't want to miss this one. How about impact? It's awful, it's really bulky. I might even make it white because I do not want to screw up my client's stuff. FPO stands for position only. We call these things FPOs. FPOs mean that this is just a placeholder. It is not the finished product. If I put that over there, that means I have to come back and revisit that. Okay? I don't want to accidentally turn my work in improperly. So if I have something that I'm not done with yet, I haven't maybe edited my, color modes, I haven't saved them as the right file format, it's the wrong resolution, I might just say, okay, this is 4-position only until I get to that part. When you turn this in, I do not want to see FPO over the front of that. Okay? Pretend I'm your client. The client doesn't want to see FPO. This just tells me I still have additional work to do. All right. Probably about time for a break. What do you say? I heard, yeah, no kidding. Okay, I'm going to stop the video and we'll pick it back up.